Salut.
Hey.
All right. Oh, I'm doing the thing.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the good, the bad, and the just plain standard, where we inform you. What was it? We inform you of our opinion on movies we watched together. We are your hosts, Adam,
Anouk,
and Yann.
Today is all about T2 Trainspotting, starring
Ewan McGregor. I'll say that again. Ewan McGregor, Ewan Bremner, Johnny Lee Miller, Robert Carlyle, Kelly MacDonald, Logan Gillies, Simon Weir, Stephen Robertson, Shirley Henderson, Angela Nedjalkova, Gordon Kennedy, and James Cosmo.
Oh, James Cosmo again.
Again, of course, yes.
Yeah. I checked Wikipedia yesterday, and there is a lost in translation moment. I never realized in Quebec, Trainspotting is translated in, apparently it's a word there because I don't remember us having it, ferrovipat.
Oh.
Like obsessed by trains kind of stuff.
Oh, right, okay.
Ah,
If only it was Obsessed by Heroin, that would have been a better title.
that's a drug addict.
Like
Yeah, that's true.
it's like train, like you've got psychopath, there's like trainopath kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like
I'm
how
sorry.
people like plane watch.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Your husband's a trainopath. Starring...
Yeah. This one was in association with the Creative Scotland.
Yes. I think the first one was as well, wasn't it?
yeah, probably.
Didn't it was another name at the time, wasn't it? No.
It might be. It might just be retconned into Creative Scotland.
Or
Maybe.
there was definitely another film that we watched that had Creative Scotland in it.
Mm.
Maybe the accidental death of an anarchist, because I had a Creative Scotland line. No.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to go anywhere?
Yeah, sure. Again, with this one, I highly recommend seeing the film and having seen Trainspotting to get your full enjoyment of this episode, and of the movie. Actually, that's where I want to start off with. Because we watched this directly after Trainspotting, I feel the film is better. What do you guys think?
Then
Yeah.
the first one.
No, the film is it's added. You get more enjoyment from this film having seen the first one.
Yeah. Like try and watch both films kind of in recent.
Yeah, well, after I asked you, why the Trainspotting name, I've only remember being talked about in the second one, and indeed they explain about the whole Begbie's father thingy in this one.
Well, in the book, Trainspotting, because this is the major thing with Trainspotting 2, it's a little bit of development. They tried to make, for years they were always asked, when is Trainspotting coming back? When are we seeing more? And especially when, if you can see down here, Porno, Irvine Welsh's novel, which is the follow-up to Trainspotting, which is beside me up here, came out way earlier. Like, it was only about, I think the time jump was about 10 years. I believe it was about 2005 it came out. It was in the 2000s, because this film came out 21 years later, because it was in 2017, last year. But the film... And that plays as well, because the characters are 21 years older. I mean, Renton, even in this film, goes, I'm 46. I don't know what to do with the rest of my life. So there's a major thing. So they definitely tried to make porno, but it's well documented that the script just didn't work. And I get that, because I'm in the middle of reading porno. It's a very difficult film to adapt to the level that you would have Trainspotting, because the thing with these novels is they're not direct adaptations. They could never be, because of the way the book is. Like, some people complain in Trainspotting that there isn't a direct narrative, and that is true, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because that's the case in the books as well.
That's also their lives. Like, they don't have purpose or direction, so it kind of fits with the whole narrative.
So the scripts just didn't work. But that's quite a good thing, because it was like they could have made a script, and they could have made the film. Like, studios would definitely want that, but there was the decision by the team to go, we're not going to make it unless it's going to be good.
People would be so much more hurt and sad to know that T2 was awful, because it was such an amazing film when it came out, and obviously it's like stood the
test of time.
Test of time. That's the phrase.
So this film, T2 Trainspotting, is based on both porno and Trainspotting. So there are sections from Trainspotting that are in this film. The main of which is why you get the name Trainspotting. There's a chapter in the book called Trainspotting at Leith Central, which is one of the last things we see in the film, where our group of heroes back in the 90s, 96 when they're younger, are just walking about Leith Central, which used to be a functioning train station in Leith and Edinburgh, and they see this wino, which is just a Scottish way for drunk person, basically. And it transpires that drunk person is Begbie's father. And it's quite a poignant moment in the book, because it's one of the few times we see Begbie like simmered at all. Because he's always like how Begbie is, and this is one of the few sections you see him like subdued. There are other sections as well, especially in Skag Boy, you'll see some subdued moments, but we won't talk about Skag Boys because we're not reviewing that. And maybe one day we will.
I don't know if there's the movie coming up, or
we might even go back and talk about these books as a whole thing, as a book series, because they're well worth and they're very appropriate for what we do here, actually.
Yeah, they are quite tough to read because they're very graphic, but also quite a lot of the time it's in Scots. So if you have no knowledge of that, it's actually impossible to read. You have to have an active knowledge of Scots, even a little bit. So yeah, I mean, as I said in the last episode, maybe audiobook is better to start with.
I've not listened to the audiobook of Porno. I haven't actually finished Porno yet. I'm excuse me. I'm about halfway through it, so I'll let you know what I think when I go back and listen to the audiobook.
Yeah, should.
But yeah, and then in the film, it's Spud writes down the memories of all the old times, which then subsequently becomes Trainspotting, which is quite nice.
I like that.
Very nice.
I also like that you see Tommy like randomly in different scenes.
Yes.
Like he kind of follows through the film in pictures and certain things.
Well, I mean, I think the film has a little bit of the whole Godfather Part 2 feel to it, where it's like a follow-up and a prequel in a way. Not in a major way, a prequel. There's just like little scenes of them from like when they were kids, and we get that a little more added to their characters, which is nice.
Makes it kind of sad because their lives were just ruined, probably by heroin, really.
Oh yeah, like
drugs.
The one thing I'll say about Skag Boys, it ends in a section where Simon and Renton go, "Nah, let's just give up heroin. This is the last time we're doing it." And then the next thing you read is the sweat was lashing off the sick boy in Trainspotting. So it's quite tragic because obviously Skag Boys came out long after these two books were out. And,
yeah,
it's even more like, oh God, this is what they were like.
Let's try something new. Alexa, what is the plot of Trainspotting 2?
Here's something I found on Wikipedia. The Open Boat is a short story by American author Stephen Crane.
That's not right.
No, that's not right.
Alexa, what is the plot to T2 Trainspotting?
This might answer your question. Here is the plot of Trainspotting. Renton, deeply immersed in the Edinburgh drug scene, tries to clean up and get out, despite the allure of the drugs and influence of friends.
That was Trainspotting 1, but that's pretty accurate. That's quite good.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the plot of this one is very much. It's in a weird way. It's a direct follow up, in a very weird way, as in it's not immediately after, but it feels like no time has passed at all. So in that way, it feels to me like a direct follow up. And again, it's basically the 4 characters living their lives. So again, it's a timepiece for people that have been lost from the 90s.
Something that I realized watching this movie. So if you put aside this whole ginger fetish thing, everyone loves rare things, and those gingers, they're rare. If you would if you wanted to define my type of women, Veronica here is a Bulgarian actress, Angela Nedyalkova.
Mm-hmm.
She with Felicity Jones. That's the kind of women I like.
Yeah, she's beautiful. She's also like the glue that kind of keeps them together, which is strange because like she is an outsider of their little group, but like she has connections to every single character.
In a sad way, I think she keeps them young.
Yeah, that is tragic.
I think this is the major thing about this movie. If you grew up in the 90s, so if you're kicking around 30, 40, like our characters are, this film is on a whole different level for you guys, because it's a piece of like how everyone thinks that their life's going to be great, and for some people it's not. Like it just doesn't go the way you think it's going to go.
No. And I guess even if you stop taking something like heroin, it kind of ruins your life in different ways, like boredom, depression, not really having any direction. Like they don't really do anything after they quit. And then they just like the whole film, they pretty much talk about what used to be, which just makes it even like so much more tragic.
Like it's almost like there could never be a immediate follow up to Trainspotting because they don't do anything.
Yeah, no,
like,
exactly.
Their lives just stand still for 20 years until Mark walks back into it.
Yeah, yeah. And like they keep on trying to do things, and I mean, poor sick boy has been betrayed twice now.
They've all been betrayed twice, so except Renton. Although he's a betrayer, so technically I'd say you're part of a betrayal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this line coming back a few times. First betrayal.
First opportunity.
First there's an opportunity, then there's a betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is true. So true. Yeah.
Yeah.
They never have anything good in their lives, even in the first one. Like, no matter, even if they're having a good time, there's always something going wrong, you know? Whether it be stealing the sex tape or finding love, but she's 14 sort of thing.
I guess that's why when he sees Diane, it's kind of sad because it's like, what could have been?
I think that's true for everyone, though. Like, if you see somebody you went out with and they're doing well, I mean that in the sense of like you ended in like a kind of mutual place, which they do, Renton and Diane. Because we never talked about this in the actual Trainspotting episode, but there's deleted scenes, which I'm going to get into for this film because I've seen the deleted scenes for this movie and I've got an opinion. There's a deleted scene in the original Trainspotting where like Renton's playing football and he's like, "Dad, we can go on holiday together," and she's like, "What do you think this is? Like, this is just a fling, Mark. Like, this isn't a real relationship." And that's true. Like, it ends in a way like we didn't break up because we never worked together. So there's still feelings from Renton's side, and I think that's true. Just because you see somebody young doing well, like if you see a friend doing well, you're always like, "Oh, good for them." But I imagine later on in your life, if you see a friend doing really well, you're like, you compare yourself.
Yeah, which is dangerous because you have no idea what else they're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she has like a really posh house in one of the deleted scenes. Doesn't he stay with her?
Well, right. So the basic plot of this movie, just to cover ourselves for we can reference it, is that Renton comes back after 20 years to it's never really explained why Renton comes back. Well, he has like a, oh no, he has like a leg heart attack, an aneurysm, or it's essentially one of these like whatever it is for your leg, coronary, I think he says at some point, which basically I think causes him to have a retrospect of like what's going on in my life. So he comes back to Scotland to just, I think in a way to try and patch up and like just leave again. But he kind of gets sucked back into this world because he doesn't have anything else in his life. So then him and Sick Boy end up trying to like set up a sauna together.
Brothel.
And it just turns into the old schemes with Begbie breaking out of jail after 20 years and finding out that Renton is full of revenge. So many things happen. Again, it's not a complete narrative, but in a way, every character has an arc that is paid off very well, which we'll get into later.
Now, Begbie, who studied anatomy very well, because he's able to notice that he's been stabbed in the liver. That's quite... I probably wouldn't notice where I was stabbed if I was stabbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And he points out where he should be stabbed because he didn't want any kind of massive hemorrhaging.
No, not at all. I noticed this actually this time watching it. We pick up like immediately where you would from the last things we saw in Trainspotting. Like we pick up with Renton, and then we pick up with what happens after Begbie was arrested in Trainspotting. Like you get Begbie in the jail. So it's very faithful to the first one. Like it answers immediately. Like, oh, this is the last thing you saw, and these are things you only notice because we watched the first one just before it.
And you've got the double exposure of Renton young, leaving the last images of the first one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of like haunts him. It's like the only thing that he can think about is his childhood.
As it would. Like if you walked off into the sunset with betraying your friends, I reckon that would stay with you.
Yeah, they just want to go back. It's like when Spud comes out of the boxing class and he sees him and Renton running that famous Edinburgh scene where they're running down the steps and then down the cobbled street.
Yeah.
That's like they all just want to go back.
Oh, the one of the best lines in the film is like you're a tourist in your own youth.
Yeah.
Which is so very accurate, actually. And very true of the time that this film was made, like in 2017. Like, I think I only feel this because you get older and you think about like things that you remember as a kid, and it's true. Like everyone's a tourist in their own memories and their own nostalgia, you know.
Yeah, they just can't move forward. Like most people try and move forward, and they're like working and like they have relationships and they go out and blah blah blah. But like they kind of just stand still. Like I think one of the saddest things is after watching actually just thinking about what they were doing in the 20 years, like Renton kind of moved on in a way, but then came back 20 years later, so obviously didn't. Begbie's been in jail for 20 years, which is just sucks. Sick Boy's been doing absolutely nothing and is still on drugs.
Yeah, he changed its cocaine now.
It's cocaine.
Yeah.
Blackmailing people.
Yeah, it's like white collar crimes. And Spud is still on the heroin.
Aye, the smack.
Yeah, which is
Same sort of thing, yeah. The skag, the smack, you know.
I felt it's a bit more difficult to understand who the protagonist is here. Isn't that Spud? No?
I think all of them are. I think they all have arcs. So we have Spud's like sadness of starting off wanting to kill himself to ultimately finding a reason to live, which is to write down these stories. We have Renton facing the consequences of his actions. We have Simon from wanting to kill Renton to eventually saving his life, and then we have Begbie, who just wants to get out, to realizing that no matter what I've got to do, I've got to just face the consequences of what I'm going to do. So they all have an arc to say, more so than the first one, because the first one is just like we said in the episode, it's just an account of people's lives, you know. Whereas this one is like, again, it is a time capsule, but these people also have distinct goals or underlying needs, as we would call them.
Yeah, and Begbie probably goes through the most realization of himself that, like, you know, the wino was my father, and this fool is yours. Like, it's just the most powerful line, because it's like Begbie just doesn't seem the type to have that depth, but he does. Like, he realizes that what he does, like, he realizes that he's a complete arsehole.
Yeah.
And that's always quite sad when arseholes realize that.
Because you go through your life going, oh, you're just an arsehole, but as soon as they realize, you're like, oh, you're not that bad. But you're like, no, of course you are.
Yeah, I mean, he's done some awful things, but it's kind of sad, especially when you realize that he's probably had the worst childhood, because, like, I mean, I don't know, like, you know, what it would have been like.
Well, Begbie represents the generation of people that, well, the 90s, when college and university, not everyone went, you know? Like, we have a thing nowadays of everyone can go to university. That wasn't true then. You know, it was a different world. So he represents the sort of very much working class lost generation. You know, like, if he even says, like, it's what I have to give the writing such a major props for, because you know, you can't, it's so true. Like, he even says, like, what's left for me in this world? Anything I can take with my bare hands.
Yeah. Well, talking about Begbie, there were some beautiful interactions here again. I loved the simultaneous realization in a toilet.
That was perfect. They're just talking to each other, and it's like, wait a minute, I know that voice.
It's everything that you wanted to happen, right? There were definite scenes that everyone as a fan would want, you know? Like, they want the meeting with Begbie and Renton. They want, you know, Renton seeing all the friends, all this sort of stuff. Every scene that you want in the film isn't how you picture it would be, but even better than in your mind. I think.
Yeah, and it's like so much happens in the film, but, like, it's somehow very fluid, and it makes sense why that would happen. Like,
yeah.
Because they're quite strange people, and they're all a little bit kind of, I don't know, just out of it all the time. Like, the fact that Begbie gets knocked out by a toilet is okay. Like, it makes sense. By Spud.
Yeah. I love the little homage that are in this film as well, especially when we see the toilet in the club, which is like, oh, I'm not going to sit in that, which is obviously the reference to the worst toilet in Scotland.
Yeah.
In the book, when Renton is on the toilet in the Trainspotting, like, emptying his guts, he writes Hibs on the wall with a fly. You know, like, he crushes a blue bottle and uses its innards to write Hibs on the wall. Somebody's written Hibs in neon paint on the wall, which I thought was a great little homage. Like, there are little things to the book that are in this film. Like, there are so many little things that are just great.
Like like when Renton is going through his old vinyls, he kind of pauses on the David Bowie one, because I think Bowie just died. And so
yeah,
Danny Boyle was like, I have to pay homage to this great, amazing person, who probably would have kind of started so much of, you know, 90s music. And
the reason that David Bowie gets the homage in this film is it's thanks to David Bowie that Trainspotting really got the soundtrack, because David Bowie was interested in Trainspotting, and he opened some doors for the soundtrack of the first one so that they could get the use of the tracks. It's well documented as well that the scene that we see the David Bowie LP is breaks a rule of cinema. There's no sound.
Yeah.
When you see the hand, like the flicking, you would hear like the of somebody moving a record. There's no sound in that scene. It's just purely on David Bowie.
No Foley sound effects. Yeah.
Yeah, no Foley at all.
That's nice. And it's so kind of like my brain isn't working today. It's so discreet as well. Like it's not like in your face, which is so much nicer because when you notice it, it's so much more powerful than if it's just like David Bowie, like it's like so much nicer to just like flicking through vinyls and you pass a David Bowie vinyl. Like that's just perfect homage.
It's true because it's nice to see the evolution of Danny Boyle because Danny Boyle's done countless films since Trainspotting, you know?
Yeah.
And Trainspotting's one of his first, I think it's like his third film. Like it's he did like TV and stuff. I looked up his IMDb. But Trainspotting's in there with one of the first films that he does, and you just see the growth and the use of techniques. You know, it's great, and it's same for the actors as well. Like they've went on and had other careers, and then to come back to these characters that they played early on in their lives, like that must be some treat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how they were. They were starting out in 1996, I guess. Now they're massive, especially Ewan McGregor, I would say.
Yeah.
I'll openly say it that I was more in the camp of I want to see Renton before I see Obi-Wan Kenobi again. I was like, I would love the follow up to Trainspotting, just because it's such an impactful film on me as well, and it's just such a good piece of work, and it's everything in it. You're just like, I want more, but you don't need it. Because Trainspotting 1 was that film that you just be able to put on, and no matter how many I've seen that film like 15 to 20 times now probably, and every time I enjoy it. Same with Alien. That's why it made the legendary category for me.
Do you still discover new things every time?
In the first one or the
first one?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In this one?
In the second and the first one. For example, in the first one, I never noticed that they, because I used to listen to the album all the time, and I never noticed that one of the songs, which is like a 9-minute instrumental on the soundtrack, is actually in the film. I was like, this one isn't in the film, and it is. It's on the radio when they're shooting the dog in the park. I was like, oh god, this sound that's in the movie. So yeah, there are stuff I know.
That's the first one, by the way.
Yeah, and this one, it was the joke that Yann makes is like, she's too young for you, which I'd never really got.
That
before.
took me a while to get, but then you're just like,
I noticed. Yeah, it got me a bit. Yeah, she's too young for you. Yeah. Beautiful imagery also. If you've never been to Edinburgh, it's one of those cities where, well, there are multiple levels. So for GPS, it's a nightmare. But you can see, because they're going to do some running on it, the Arthur's Seat.
Yes.
That's a great Edinburgh feature.
Have you been up Edinburgh, Arthur's Seat, Yann?
Yeah, in Edinburgh, it's one of those cities where there are hills and levels, and there's also kind of a hill or a kind of a mountain in the middle of the city, Arthur's Seat.
Well, that's a volcano. It's a dormant volcano.
Okay, okay.
It's dormant.
I haven't been...
Extinct or dormant is the phrase, but yeah, it was a volcano.
I haven't been there, but I did the hop on, hop off bus with my mother 2 years ago when we did the Fringe.
Yeah.
So I went close, but not in.
I'm going to be honest. I've never been up it either.
No, we've made plans to do it, and then it just falls through. And
we were so tired during the Fringe when we were there. It was like, we'll just do it one day, and we're like, nah, we're knackered.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're lucky because we're only like less than an hour away, so it's so we can go whenever.
We just go and do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, because mostly in Trainspotting original, they couldn't afford the budget to shoot in Edinburgh. They couldn't get the permits; it would cost way too much money. So most of the Trainspotting is shot in Glasgow. Whereas in this film, most of it, if not all of it, is in Edinburgh. Or at least in like Leafs, because they can. It's like, you're making T2, yeah, the doors are open, come on in.
Least 2.1. Let's
Yeah.
crowdfund this shit.
Yeah. He's 2.1.
That would have been a fun point if they'd made a crowd, like a Kickstarter for their project. That would have been amazing.
It's funny as well because it's like it's such a strange thing to do to get a lot of money. I'm sure loads of people do it, but it's just such a strange thing to do to like fake that you're going to make this amazing pub,
Yeah, like
a hotel thing.
culture. But it's basically a bid to bring back culture to.
Yeah, and then just use the money.
I love the fact that that's a European Union loan. I'm like, well, we can't get them anymore.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, I think in an episode that will be released later with Paul, I think, or even sometimes other times I said some Kickstarter I backed where the guy left to pay off their student debt. So
Yeah, it wouldn't be far out of touch. It would almost be too real, I think.
because with crowdfunding projects, when you're exactly on your budget, it's fine because you've budgetized everything. But when you're way over, it also works, but it takes way longer because you have to adapt and scale everything. And sometimes it's just from the start it was shady, and out of 120 projects, 2 of them were just like, nah, never happened.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's cheeky. It's getting other people's money. Oof.
Not as bad as e-begging, which are just accounts for people going, I would like you to fund me to start my YouTube channel. I would like you to fund me to buy me an Apple Watch, sort of shit. You know,
Get a job. Like, what is the problem?
Yeah. And also, I need money to. I need to start. I want to start vlogging, so I need a great camera. Well, we can, as long as you have an iPhone or those tiny stuff or whatever. It's the quality will come, but the image quality comes just after the quality of the content.
Yeah.
I would say.
Also, good note: the camera. If we're using the fancy camera, which is a phrase from our friend, where he's shooting on a Canon, right? The camera we're shooting on I bought it. It was about £440. So people begging for like $1,000+ to start vlogging is like, you don't need that. You absolutely don't need that. And then save up for Final Cut Pro, because I know Final Cut Pro is expensive, but there are other softwares out there you can use until you can afford Final Cut Pro.
iMovie.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Or a Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never used that, but I think that's the alternative to iMovie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now Final Maker Pro is like just 200 or something. It used to be like way more expensive.
Oh, I know. Trust me.
Yeah. I mean, if what they see is Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, and they have the EOS 1D Mark II or 5, whatever. It's like $8,000 camera. So it's obviously the image is great, but anything that can capture your vision. If you don't have any vision, well, even a Red Epic, like a $45,000 camera won't do any good for you.
Yeah, like you have to make sacrifices for what you want. You can't just ask for money and then get the best of the best.
Well, I know for a fact that because I'm such a sound buff that I value better sound over visual sometimes. Like, we're a podcast. Like, the video side that we're experimenting with now would be really nice to have as a constant feature, but you'll notice when you listen to these that we're using the same audio that's released as the audio podcast, because sound is equally important as visual. You know, like a video can be the crispest thing in the world, but if it sounds like you don't care.
Yeah, but actually, you were about to say something?
No, it's fine.
Okay. For some reason, the Trainspotting episode we recorded matched perfectly in timing with our source sound. So I had the occasion to just make it yesterday. And the sound is so loud and exactly how it is in our audio podcast that it's that whole sound perspective thing. So when you're watching the video, it feels weird.
Ah,
Mhm.
okay.
So many bugs to
I know.
stamp out.
But yeah, it's still. I mean, you don't really realize. You realize because it's heads talking. But I mean, when you see.
I mean, it sounds like we should be in close up, essentially.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, and I think in T2, when we see Spud for the first time with the Knights of the Round Chairs, I think we can hear him the same level depending on where the camera is. If it's so, sometimes, or Casey Neistat, what he does when he's visiting stuff now. So you've got a close up. He's talking, and then there's a cut, like invisible jump cut, and suddenly he's on the bed, and then but it's the same sound level.
Ah, I see.
So it still works, but for an hour talking heads, I don't know. We'll have to experiment. And
Well, like ever, the video aspect with you'll see we have 2 episodes that are a hard edit, and then the other 4, 2 of which are on iPhone, and then the other 2 are on the Canon camera here. So it'll honestly be just what looks the best or what we're able to do at the time. So we'll have to see. We would love to keep doing the video aspect, but 1, we need to figure it out properly, and then 2, it's a case of because me and Yann do the video editing, working out how to do that as well as keep on a schedule to do audio podcasting. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
yeah, and also the thing that is being said by Casey Neistat and all those guys most of the time is your main camera should be your best one. And the best one depends. I mean, the size of the sensor, the biggest one is on the Canon, the DSLR there, but he's only filming 1080, while those small ones are 4K, but they need loads of light, just like the iPhone. So there's a balance to. We'll get there. So at least you see our faces now.
Yeah, and I guess also we're not like a big company. Like it's just us 3. So we don't have editors or lighting people or booms or extra people to like help out. Like it's just us 3 to kind of just talking to you guys. So
Yeah.
that's how it started. So I mean, it's amazing how much support we've got, but it's kind of, we're still working out the kinks.
So literally, what you see is what you get. Everything you see on the screen here is what we own.
Yeah.
Although we have gone through several microphones. I like these ones now. We're on a good set at last. I do like these little mini pop filters.
I need we settle something because for some now. Though I'm speaking from here and you can hear me, Andy. And I'm quite far.
Yeah.
You're getting closer, but it's because it's not directed. So it's because it's not. So we'll have to adjust that. So we don't have to be like
this all the time,
yeah.
which I still am always.
Yeah, but yeah.
Getting there.
Bad habits.
Maybe once we do that, when the audio might match up a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like the farther we are away, it matches the shot.
Yeah, I don't. But I also like the fact that we have our lips covered, so we could.
Oh, the cheeky! If you can't see our lips moving, then it doesn't matter about being in sync. No, Yann, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
That's you said that the other day. Yeah, obviously it's worth doing right, but yeah, it will be a hard work because something is out of sync for some reason. So
yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Back to Trainspotting too. What do you guys think about possibly the funniest scene of all of Trainspotting history? And when the dust was cleared, there was no more Catholics left.
It was just perfect.
No more Catholics.
Perfectly done.
So for anyone who hasn't seen this movie and is just hearing me out of context, Google T2 Trainspotting, no more Catholics, and you'll get the context. For the scene, in order to start their venture of setting up the sauna, Renton and Simon go to Glasgow to a Protestant gathering of basically, it talks about how these people have been abandoned by a new secular United Kingdom, which is true as well, actually. I know these clubs will exist. It's the same. I think of it the same vein of like a miners' clubs still exist, but are like dying out sort of thing. I've never been to one. I've never like seen it, but I can imagine that they exist.
I'm sure they do.
And they sing a song. They just go to rob the people, you know, because like they're too busy singing about their plight, and they get cornered into having to perform, and they perform a song called "No More Catholics," which is I think one of the funniest scenes I've seen.
It's just done really well, like with the fact that Sick Boy does not play the piano, and the kind of crescendo. It's like kind of, it's always increasing in humor, so it kind of starts light and then it's just done really, really well.
Plays the F and G march, which is just F F F F F F G G G G F F, like that.
And the hilarious comment from Renton, like, okay, here we go.
It's the people put on the spot at the last second, like that's always great.
Yeah.
And there is one a local actor, Tom Urie.
All right.
He's the guy welcoming them, like the big guy.
Yeah.
He was in River City.
Oh, the guy at the door. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was performing. He does music, and he was performing at the first Burns Supper at the Oran Moor I attended 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very nice guy.
Cool.
Yeah. So this one, I reckon, is a bit more family friendly.
Yeah.
A bit more, but
Well,
I had
not at the beginning. With the scenes in the hotel room.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, No, I mean, in terms of violence, it's not as trash, let's say.
Yeah, and there's I do agree with you.
It's not as raw.
No, it's not as graphic. Because they're older, like they're kind of, well, not chilled out, but
Changed, but not changed.
yeah, they're just a little bit more tragic, really. Actually, it's just quite a tragic film.
Yeah.
It's funny and it's well done, and it's not like you watch it and go, oh god, this is so depressing. But it's like, in hindsight, looking back, it's like a really tragic story.
There's a great bit in the beginning when Renton arrives back to Edinburgh, and he gets into the city via the tram. If you're from Edinburgh, you know about the tram. I think Edinburgh used to have trams, right? And then they got rid of them. And then for some reason they thought, let's bring them back. So they planned to bring them back, but there's a phrase that goes with the trams. Over time and over budget. It took forever. Because the original plans for the tram isn't as long as it is now. Like, it was going to stop way before people were like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the length of the tram now is it goes essentially to towards I should really know the place because I used to work there, Adam. Edinburgh Playhouse. It essentially goes into just past Princess Street from the airport. So it's a fair length, right? But it's just one line. It's not like multiple trams. Like, it's just from one place to the airport. So again, it works if you're from the airport getting into the city. It's a good idea, but I mean, Edinburgh already had a pretty decent bus service. Like, the bus features pretty predominantly in both. And this film, actually, because I never thought I'd see a bus going to
Greendykes, yeah.
Greendykes in a film ever.
Well, they do things in ones here in Scotland, because in Glasgow there's just one line, which is quite fascinating.
Oh, for the subway.
Yeah.
Orange Caterpillar.
Yes. So, like, everyone thinks like, oh, subway system's really complicated. In Glasgow, it's literally just it's an oval.
It's a circle.
Yeah, it just goes.
Yeah, a potato.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. It's like everyone's got multiple like verging ways. Like, New York's is like massive, London's is extensive. Scotland's is simple.
You could actually just stay on the train all day, the subway, because it just goes round in a circle. They probably kick you off at some point, but
well, you tell us, Yann. Do they kick you off the subway?
Oh shit! Yeah.
No, I don't.
Why
think so.
don't you tell us your almost train spotting esque story?
It's funny because it will lead to another one. We were at the party one evening, and I had to leave, and I forgot my my jacket with my keys in it. So my flatmate, who was also on the same course, was he at the party? No, he wasn't. At the
No, he wasn't there.
Yeah, well,
No.
when I came and wanted to get in, I ringed a few times and it didn't work, and I ringed again and it didn't work. So, so I basically because it was like 2 a.m., so there was nothing, no subway, nothing pretty much. So I had to wait until 6 to spend 2 hours in the subway because it was obviously freezing cold. So I waited in the subway for 2 hours. Yeah, so yeah, it does rounds and rounds and it don't get you out. And at one point I went to a phone booth and sent an email to Adam warning him, okay, I'll come round the flat at some point to actually sleep. So I must have, I think it was like, I don't know, 10 or something in the end.
No, it was early. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and the
Okay.
bell went. I was like, "What the? Who? What?" Or it might have been. It was either 8. It was like 7 or 8, and I was like, "Right, all right." And then it was,
No, it was early because I remember when there's that early like hazy light outside.
birds tweeting.
Yeah, it was just like it's this very early morning feel, and obviously we were both really hungover because we'd been out the night before.
And I was like, I got to the door, I'm like, "Hello," and I was like, "Hello, it's Yann." I'm like, "You come in?" And Yann was like, "I've been locked out of my flat." I'm like, "Oh shit, man!"
I opened the door.
Did you open the door?
Yes, I opened the door.
Sorry.
And I made a really crude bed for Yann in the living room.
But the bed was already up because in our old flat, we had like this fold out, rickety ass sofa. Like as a sofa, it sucked, but as a bed, it was actually all right,
it was all. I mean, it wasn't
passable.
It wasn't comfortable, and like even so, I went back to bed, and when I woke up, Yann had gone. So I was like, the bed couldn't have been that comfy.
No,
'cause
Yann wasn't gone.
No, it wasn't. But
No, Yann.
it was, the big thingy. It was big, so it was fine.
Yeah, so Yann was asleep on the bed, and we went out and bought him like Cullen skink and stuff, like because he liked
Oh
the soup.
yeah,
We got
because
him
we felt really bad, so we like went out and bought him all
a
his like,
baguette.
favorite
we
things.
got Yann a big, massive baguette
Got
and
him
some
a
Cullen skink.
baguette.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Because Yann was like, I need to get up and rehearse with PJ. I'm like, no, you need to stay in bed and like sleep this off, man. You had a terrible experience last night.
Yeah.
Yes, PJ. So in the end, he thought it was kids having fun with the ring, so it never opened.
Oh, that is so
Yeah.
bad luck.
Yeah,
dear.
and the parallel subway story. The first acting workshop I had, so 2009, I talked about in Highlander, a theatre introduction one with a guy Thierry, who will hopefully come for the Highlander series episode. Well, the second workshop a week later was kind of more. There was some method in that.
All right.
So there was a day in there, the hump day, I think, where we had to just become a character and be living that character for a day.
Right.
And I was a British,
Okay.
so that was my character. So I had like this Union Jack here, and the shirt stopped there,
Because everyone in Britain wears a Union Jack.
and
Crop top.
I was asking for I was doing weird stuff, and I stayed and fell asleep, pretended to fall asleep in the subway, and I realized I had my eyes closed, so I don't know what happened, but I stayed for a while because it's line, so you've got 14, I think, in Paris. It was in Paris, right?
I was going to ask, like, what subway was it? I assumed it was Paris.
And 12, I think, anyway. And at one point, because they're supposed to be doing like this, just they go one way and they go back, and it's just like there and back again all the time, right?
Yeah,
And,
London has that too. Some lines.
And at one point, I just didn't get out at the last stop, and I heard someone knocking violently on the glass on the doors of the subway. Like, yeah, apparently you're not supposed to do that in this one.
No, I mean, I've been in a situation where I had my headphones in and I didn't hear that the bus was terminating, and because I was back, like right at the back of the top section of the bus, the big red double-decker buses, the driver obviously didn't see me in the camera, so he didn't realize that I was still on the bus. So the bus had terminated, everyone had got off, and I was on my way to the other side of London, to the depot.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then all I heard was, and then I just like kind of, because I was just totally in my music, and then I kind of like woke up from this like dream reverie thing, and I was like, shit, I'm in like Tottenham, which is like the other side of London from where I was supposed to be in like central London. And I was like, oh shit. And then I went downstairs and the driver just was like, the fuck are you doing on my bus?
You could have stayed the whole night.
I know, I could have, because the lights went off and I was like, oh shit. And then obviously you're in a depot, so there are no buses.
So you got to the depot?
Yeah, I did.
Did you not realise on the bus you're going, wait a minute, this bus hasn't stopped and there's nobody on it?
I was tired. I mean, this was at school, so this was at like 7:30 in the morning, and like, you know, Thursday was absolutely shattered.
So you missed the bus, you got on the bus to go to school and forgot to get off?
Yeah. I didn't realize that it had like just carried on.
Bloody hell.
I know, that's pretty
Of
tragic.
course, because in London you use actual public transport to get to school. You don't actually have a school bus.
Well, there were school buses, but
Not for you.
not for us. No, I mean,
Not for me.
no, because I was only
slumped.
15 minutes away from school.
Ah,
I was
right,
pretty
okay.
much in central London myself, so
I see.
it was just a stupid mistake. I mean,
Do I have any like terrible stories from public transport?
you small town boy.
Pfeiffer.
I mean, the only nightmare I've had traveling. We should have saved these for the planes, trains, and automobile episode, but we'll go back to them. We might even have other ones by that point. Is when I was traveling back from London to Scotland. This was when you stayed on for. I think you stayed on for a party.
Mm-hmm.
I came back and we got to Carlisle and it was like, this train, we have to terminate the train here. So there's a replacement bus service. I'm like, oh no. I don't know if the replacement bus service exists in any other country, but if it does, you got to feel our pain because like it sucks. But so there's this big massive queue for people because for some reason, right, I remember what it was. There was a signal failing from Carlisle North. So like every train going to Scotland from England, right, on the West Line was knackered. So they had this thing of you could get a bus to Edinburgh or you could get a bus to Glasgow, and then like the queues were like super long. But for some reason, there was a train leaving that goes via the West Coast, which is an extra 2.5 hours. And I'm just like, screw this! I'm getting on this 2.5 hour train, and it was just hell. Like,
Yeah.
you know that thing when you mentally know how long your travel should take? I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, please, just want to be there. I want to be home.
And you're starving and freezing and ugh.
And I got back and there was like this moldy ass pot in the flat. And I was like, oh,
I know.
why?
Well, there's always the cheapest option to when we have audition in London to use the nightmare bus.
I've done that. Don't do it.
And I usually do it, but once there was on the M something, a motorway of some kind, a traffic jam,
Okay.
like a block. Yeah. So for 3 hours, it was. So I had the occasion to take some selfies in the middle of.
I remember these. Yeah.
Trucks on the motorway, which was funny. But bus replacement services, I quite liked because 2 years ago or last year, at some point they did massive work on the subway without fixing the sound thingy, just like like Emma said, it still does the annoying thingy. But I quite liked it because I booked tickets way early, and so it was 40 quid for the whole period, and they extended the period.
Oh, right.
And I used the bus to hatch my Pokemon Go eggs.
Oh, this was in Pokemon Go was a big thing. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you utilised that
I'm
situation.
glad the Scottish Public Service was utilised its fullest there. Oh dear. Right, I said in the beginning I wanted to talk about the deleted scenes. So I've watched the deleted scenes for this movie. It's about 30 minutes, and there's some nice stuff, but it's all nostalgia, right? So it's like Spud and Renton go into the store that they robbed in the first one, and they steal something, and they get away, and it's great. But then they get to like this warehouse, and I was like, "Have you got the iPad?" I was like, "No, I dropped it ages ago." I'm like, "Oh well." And then the other big thing is all the Diane footage is cut. So in the plot of the story is after when Begbie attacks Renton and he gets his arm like slashed, he stays with Diane for a period of time, and they basically just chat, and it's really nice. But I have to give the filmmakers credit that they chose to stick to the narrative that they wanted, and they made it. I think without that footage, the film is great and is focused and streamlined. But with it would be like, you're just putting this here for nostalgia, which so many films do. I mean, you look at any film that's playing on nostalgia, like Jurassic World or something like that. Like there's stuff in that film that you're just like, you're just putting this in here because you want to pay homage to the first one, and it's not for narrative's sake.
Well, I also mean it's great that they actually released the cut footage.
That's very true.
Yeah, because you've got what it's called the filming ratio. So that's the number, the time the number of takes you do to do 1 minute. Like you film 10 minutes for 1 minute of final results, like 10-1. This kind of filming ratio. And so in all movies, every time, except if you've got a 1-1 ratio, which rarely happens, people just like
all those one-take wonders.
El Mariachi, Robert Rodriguez, he filmed everything himself, and he did only one takes.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
It must have been a 1-1 kind of thing. But usually, so you end up with loads and loads of footage. So it's cool that stuff that were removed for either time, because sometimes it's cut for time, or because the pace will suffer from the addition of those scenes. So it's great to actually have them to
Very much so, yeah.
It's a good directing and writing skill to just be able to look at your work and be like, is that in the direction that you want to do, or is that just extra stuff? And then you have to cut it. Like, you have to be brutal with yourself, because that's the only way that you'll make a story work.
So before I talk about the whole the Renton aspect at the very end, I want to talk about the first time I saw this movie. And I think this is the case, right, that I saw something opening day. I booked my ticket well in advance. I'm like, as soon as the booking option came available, I'm like, I'm booking to see this. So much so, right, that I booked this for Cineworld Super Screen, right, which is a massive wall of just cinema. It was great. And then I also booked just to see it like the next few days, like afterwards. Like I saw it like twice within the first weekend. But I do remember the first oh no, that was Trainspotting. It works the same way, because they had the Trainspotting one on as like an homage to you can see the first one on big screen, which was absolutely amazing, and it was like the original print as well, which is great. It was like the original film 4 theatrical cut, which was just amazing. There was both occasions at both films there were drunk people. It was unbelievable. It was crazy. The first one was like the people next to us were just drinking out of like a like a miniature of whiskey. Like it was like, all right, fair enough. But they weren't really rowdy. But there was just somebody just shouting. like halfway through, just ended up shouting out. I was like, all right, calm down. And then it was the case with the second one as well. Somebody else was like plastered. I was like, all right. Like they were up and dancing when the music came on. I was like, cool, whatever. So that can go on the list of weird cinema experiences.
Well, we talked in the Trainspotting one about heroin, drugs, and everything, but smoking, like alcohol, all those like hard hitting drugs, but legalized. We don't. I think it's my uncle who realized like last year that alcohol was a hard drug. It was like kind of a epiphany moment. Oh wow, yeah, and it's.
Alcohol, coffee is so bad for you. Caffeine is so bad for you. Red Bull is so bad for you.
Yeah, like
it's been banned in France.
That's it.
For many years. It just got back last year, but it was banned for 10 years.
Oh shit!
Just like absinthe.
No wonder you guys. No wonder you guys always went on strike. You didn't have your Red Bulls to get you through, to get you through your shifts.
Yeah. What else is? It's so funny. There's like a Facebook thing. I don't know if it's a meme. I don't actually know the definition of that word.
God, you didn't go on meme or meme.
Meme. That basically says humans were not supposed to last. It says on the Red Bull can that you don't mix with alcohol. And what do? We make Jaeger bombs.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It says do not mix with alcohol. Because obviously that's caffeine, taurine, sugar, and alcohol all in one.
Jesus, it's like a cocktail.
Yeah, they removed taurine. They banned taurine, so obviously the whole.
Right.
Yeah, and there was, I think, in the Green Fairy absinthe Tuyon, which was
another Ewan McGregor film.
Yeah.
Good joke. That was good.
You're welcome.
I had a point there and I forgot it because that joke was really funny. It caught me off guard, that one. What was I going to say? It was about, you were talking about us in the story. Yeah, do you guys remember the whole story with Red Bull? About how the Red Bull gives you wings, has like two or three eyes in it? Somebody sued Red Bull for the fact that it didn't give them wings. So they changed the slogan so it doesn't say wings, it's a different thing.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's one of those weird cases of like, come on, really?
It could be even worse. Like, okay, so my kid drank Red Bull. He jumped from the top of that high rise and he didn't fly. So what about those wings? He didn't get wings. So I'm suing you now.
Oh my God, man.
That's just ridiculous. And then we kind of say, oh, why do we have to have that written? Like, that's so funny. Like, they have to tell us that, like in escalators, they have moving conveyor. Please take care.
Be cautious of moving parts.
Yeah, it's why do you have to tell us that? Like in the airport, they have moving conveyor. Please take care. And then they also tell you when it's going to end. So it's like moving conveyor is about to end. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't press the rest button or you will be prosecuted.
Yeah, exactly. They have to have all of this like around everywhere, just because if someone doesn't see it, it's so easy for them to be like, it's not written, so I can sue you.
The fanciest thing in Dunfermline, right, is it's in the Tesco. I know that sounds weird, but it's one of the fanciest, newest things in Dunfermline. They have like a travelator that takes your shopping trolley from like the ground floor to the top floor. So I didn't know this, but you can install a magnetized fact for it, right? So the wheels of the trolley, you can't push the trolley up it. But like Anouk says, it tells you when you're ending. You just get a constant throughout the whole shop of, what is it? You're approaching the end. Mind the gap, sort of thing.
I think I've seen that once. It's quite a fascinating concept, yeah.
And it's just ongoing. Like every single time that someone's just about to step off the conveyor, it says, "Please take care. Please take care."
Yeah, and it's not even if you just have the trolley. Like if you're just traveling up it, it'll do it as well.
Yeah,
There's one I love in the subway. It's always a rabbit with hurting his hand in the doors. Like
the rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cartoon thingy.
They have a few of it. They have the the adverts in the London Tube that they look like the Mad Men. Yeah, it's like the arts in the Mad Men theme tune bit, like the beginning of it. That kind of like just the coloured spec.
Do you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Man, I still need to watch that.
I'm so excited for you guys to watch that.
Although I love Christina Hendricks from Firefly. She was Malcolm Reynolds' darling at some point.
That show is just so good. I'm so excited.
I probably need to start watching that again because it was so good, but I didn't finish it.
You didn't watch series 2? Like, you jumped in with me like halfway through, like in series 4 or 5.
Oh yeah, that's true. But then
'Cause
I've
you
kind of
went
heard
away.
that series 1 and 2 aren't that great.
No, you need them.
We should do it.
You need them. They're good.
We should do what would you watch the rest on this one? Because I haven't watched anything, so we could do.
Yes, let's do that.
Again, then the point I was making before we went on with the whole story about seeing it the first time. Did you guys think Renton was going to die at the end?
Yeah. But then I thought Spud was going to die. I thought Begbie was going to die.
Well, I knew that Begbie wasn't going to die because I knew that the Blade Artist was coming out.
Oh.
Which I still think they will make a film of the Blade Artist. I haven't read the book yet, but it's the follow-up of Begbie way in the future who's learnt how to control his anger through art and education. Has to come back to Scotland because somebody's murdered his son.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Yeah, like it's meant to be really good. I need to pick it up and read it though. I'm going to finish Porno first and then I'm going to pick up and read it.
that also Irvine Welsh.
Yeah, Irvine Welsh. It came out 2016.
Okay.
It's amazing.
It's the latest Irvine Welsh novel.
It's amazing how much he's written.
Oh yeah, it's
He's
like
done
crazy.
so much.
I mean, yeah, the point I wanted to make in the previous episode, just like Rabbie Burns, who also wrote in Scots and was translated, Irvine Welsh does. I tried to read it live, and
Yeah.
I tried to. So I remembered the Van Damme bit because I've read the start of Trainspotting, but even the French version is a bit hard.
That's good though that it's faithfully translated. I think that's very, very good.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Soundtrack wise on this one, I only have watched it 3 times, so I can't. I don't feel it sticks as much. I'm not at that stage yet that I will get those musics and say, "Oh, that's in T2."
I know what you mean. I do like there are so many like homages. I mean, like the Prodigy remix of Lust for Life, which is up there as one of the best remixes ever.
Oh, it's so good. Like, so good. I have to do this in every camera. It's so good. I love it so much.
And then the remix of Born Slippy as well,
Oh.
which is a mate again is great.
Prodigy is just like this. So
I don't know if
good.
Prodigy did the Born Slippy.
I thought they did both.
They might have done both, to be fair. I just don't know it for a fact. They probably did, but I know they definitely did Lust for Life.
Yeah.
Other tracks, I agree to an extent. I love the opening with the whole like dun, 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 that whole beginning. Like that's great.
Yeah.
And
that's totally Trainspotting too. Like that's completely in my head. As soon as I listen to that, it would just be like, yeah, T2.
and then I know that for a fact there's an Edinburgh band that's featured a lot called Young Fathers, who
Yes.
have got multiple features in the.
Who my friend is dating one of them.
Is she really?
Yeah, and she has been for a few years.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I know it is, isn't it?
Yeah, what a strange fact to like just bring out. Like, oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
It's
if
like
you're listening.
It's like how you know Jungle as well, vaguely.
I know I went to school with either one of them or one of them, someone that's in the backing in backstage stuff.
All right, okay.
So
That's quite cool.
she
That's
kind
still
of
cool though.
tours with them. Yeah, really cool.
Love that band.
Oh yeah.
And then the other one, which I will say, no, that makes the soundtrack is the Wolf Alice song at the end.
Oh. Da 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 na 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 na.
With all of them,
Da, da, da,
the saddest I've ever seen Johnny Lee Miller look ever when he's just like reopening the pub and Veronica's gone and this is his life now. And then the moment that every time gets me is our appearance again of Cosmo. When Renton goes back after being nearly murdered by Begbie, and he just walks up the stairs and hugs his father. And it's like this, the smile that Cosmo gives in that scene is just some of the most, it's so real that I don't even want to say it's the best acting ever. It's just pure. It's instinctual. And that's when you know that you're really good as an actor, when you can just brave enough and confident enough just to be instinctual on camera.
I mean, that's the sadder scene, kind of vision that I have of the dad and then the back of Ewan McGregor, Renton, as a kid from Trainspotting 1, and then the shadow of his mum. It's just so powerful because it's like, yeah.
Well,
even the choose life speech this time round is even more like depressing and angry.
Yeah, he's so angry in that scene.
yeah, and he actually explains it because it's less clearer in the first one. Yeah, choose life, okay. But
it's in the novel in Trainspotting. When that part comes out, you get where it comes from. It comes in the part where in the film where he's supposed to go on like the methadone, sort of like weaning himself off of heroin, after the court case. In the book, there's like a counselling session, and that's where that speech appears. So in the book, it's explained a bit more.
It's very interesting because it's so true. It's like choose life instead of drugs, which is basically what the campaign is. And they've kind of switched it to choose life and all its kind of depressing aspects of it, like dental insurance and racism and misogyny and all this kind of stuff. Like he brings up, I mean, obviously in the first one it's about the mundane, so which is interesting because they take heroin to like get away from the mundane, and then in this one it's like life and like real horrible societal issues like racism and misogyny. Like that's
revenge porn, slut shaming,
body shaming.
I remember the trailer. I've never been more excited for a trailer ever, when it's like, choose a 0-hour contract and then the same for your kids but only worse. Choose a 2-hour commute to work and back.
Yeah. Choose denial of the Holocaust, and if it did happen, it was the Jews.
That's choose 9/11 didn't happen.
9/11, sorry.
And if it did, it was the Jews sort of thing.
Very good.
Choose looking up old flames to basically see if they had it worse than you.
Yeah.
And it's from that point in that monologue that it changes. And it's excellent. It's a great choice of direction and a great acting. Because in the beginning it's like he's like kind of flirting with Veronica. He's like, choose designer lingerie in the hope of kicking a start into your love life. And then like it slowly changes. And at the end he even realizes it's gone too dark and he's like, Anyway. It amused us at the time. Like, wow.
And then they have sex. That's how you do it.
Oh, yeah, it's way better than I am Conrad MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. Let's kiss and have sex.
I will give a credit to this film. It's a very small thing that I noticed this time, that they play another Blondie track during a sex scene.
Oh.
Because it's Blondie's Dreaming, and in the first one it's Blondie Atomic.
That's very true.
Which I noticed this time around watching. I'm like, oh yeah, they've put a Blondie track when there's a sex scene happening. That's quite a nice wee homage.
That is nice.
Only there wasn't any football this time. I mean, there's so many little references, like when they're in the flat party and after they've got the money from the No More Catholics Left scene, and you see the rifle appear from the first one again. Like there's so many things just appear, and it's so true. Like you can imagine that a lot of them kept a lot of stuff that they had. They didn't throw anything away, really.
No, not at all. They couldn't throw it away in their own heads. Like, just obsessed with their childhood. I quite liked the fact that Spudge was kind of got off the best in this one, because he kind of got the worst rap out of I mean, obviously Tommy did because he died and had HIV, but Spud kind of he got loads of money and it was good. But then that scene where Diane sends a letter to spud, and he's just on the side of the road.
Oh, in the gutter.
Yeah.
In
And
the
it's
first
just like, that's probably what his life was like in the last 20 years. And I think that was a really clever thing to do. It's like, I gave you £4,000. I was a fucking junkie. What do you think I would have done with £4,000? And it's like, it kind of hits you because you're like, I mean, I didn't even think about that. Like watching the first one, I was like, oh, that's so sweet. He's helping his mate out. And it's like, yeah, but he's a junkie. Like he's just going to get rid of that money like that.
Yeah.
And he's just lucky that he didn't contract some awful disease or die, overdose.
Yeah. Man, there's so many aspects. This is one of these films, right, that I know we will return to in a future episode because there's so much in it. And as you get older, we'll realise more things. I know for a fact that we'll go back and talk about this film because of the time it comes out in our lives too. Like it came out immediately after we graduated drama school.
That's very true.
And there's so many aspects. For the point of Scottish month, we've covered a lot of the Scottish aspects. We will return to this movie one day. I know that we will because we will have a series of like we return to movies and what do we think now. I've already got that planned for Army of Darkness and then other films that we did last year as well. Because Anouk and me were talking last night. It's like, do you guys remember Jigsaw? So we'll wait till Halloween next year and we'll see if we remember.
This year.
Yeah, this year, sorry.
Yeah.
So does anyone else have any other aspects to say, or should we kick into the rating?
We can.
So, Anouk, Yann, was T2 Trainspotting good, bad, or just plain standard? Anouk?
It was so good. Like, so good.
Yann?
Good.
For me, at this moment in time, it's so close to hitting the legendary category. Like, it's borderline, but I feel that I'm thinking this because I saw it immediately after Trainspotting 1, right? So that I feel that I am biased because I'm watching them as a complete series. Does this film work on its own? Of course it does. You get reintroduced to these characters, but you get more out of it having seen Trainspotting. So for me right now, it's the borderline legendary. When we return to Trainspotting 2 one day, out of context, probably when we ever do a book series, we'll return and do comparisons between T2 and the whole series because that will have another aspect to it. Maybe it'll make the legendary, maybe I'll think less of it, who knows. But for me, it's a borderline legendary. It's a very good film.
Awesome. Today, what's your favorite word?
Sleep. Because I'm shattered.
Yeah, sleep. Yeah. I'm thinking, what's it called? Brain work, for fuck's sake.
Brain is nice.
Brain is good. Brain, even though it's bad because brain in like London slang means like blowjob.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, like she gave me brain is like, yeah.
How the hell did you get to that?
Well, because she gave me head. She gave me brain. Yeah.
Bloody hell. That is
Anyway.
That is peak, man.
That's shush. I'm thinking cloud.
Cloud. Sorry, go again because I cut you off. I was going to ask Yann what you thought.
Cloud is a good word.
Knob. I got it from there. So, Simon talking to Renton about Veronica. So you knobbed her.
As a verb, yeah.
I have knobbed her and I'll knob her again.
As a verb, it's least favorite word?
Alarm.
Oh, Adam. I hate the word. Well, thinking about knobs, I hate Willy. I hate that word so much. I think it's just so childish, and it's just
Do you know what?
I don't want to think about that.
Do you know what? As a wee nugget, as this is the last episode of Scottish Month, I'll give you one of my mum's least favourite words. Sorry, Mum, because you'll watch this and listen to it. So just take your headphones off for now. One of my mum's least favourite words is jobby.
Jobby.
Which is Scottish for a turd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, horrible.
Actually, right now, porno.
All right.
Because it's too confusing. I am unsure. So you've got porn, you've got X-rated, you've got porn. What are you supposed to be using? I'm confused.
Well, in the book, they make a porno, which is like a film. I mean, there was a film, right, called Zack and Wiki Make a Porno or something like that.
My dad made a porno.
Yeah.
So it comes from the word pornographic, which is like an adjective, like that was pornographic. Porn is like what you know what porn is. Porno is like the film version.
By monetization. This episode's getting an 18 plus. Like, well, Mom.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yann's least favorite word was porno.
Favorite word or noise? Favorite noise or sound?
Favorite noise.
Can we have a different one? Can we have smell this week? Least favorite smell and favorite smell.
You can
just for banter.
Yeah.
I quite like that noise that Skype makes.
I was quite good actually. I was impressed that came out that well.
It's amazing, and it's always like someone that I really want to speak to, because I don't like if I don't want to speak to you, you're not going to Skype me. So
noise for me right now is the construction outside my flat is pretty grim right now.
That's your least favorite word, though. What's your favorite word?
Oh, favorite noise. Sorry.
Noise. Sorry.
Wrong way around.
Can you tell listeners that we're shattered?
Yeah, this is an early one for us because Yann's back off he's jet setting away again.
So you can record Paddington 3.
I really do want to do a Paddington podcast, but we'll wait until Yann's back. We'll do it one day because it was going to be a good episode, but we got spooked because it was the first time me and Anouk just recorded me and her.
We were like, oh, we have no direction.
We have no direction, so maybe we'll record that when Yann's away. Like now that we've right, we can figure this stuff out. So we'll give it another go.
Yann's the glue of this group.
Yeah, clearly. Favorite noise: the hum of a radiator as it gets warmer.
Good.
Especially after living in our old flat where it was bloody freezing all the time.
Yeah, it's nice to have a warm flat.
Yeah. Anouk?
I've said mine. Mine's the Skype.
Oh, the Skype noise.
So good.
Mine is Scrat. You know the little character in Ice Age?
Oh.
Like
that one.
That's so good.
That's very accurate, yeah.
Oh my god.
Least favourite noise?
Yeah.
What is my least favourite noise? Do you remember my least favourite noise is an old one. Do you remember the noise that modems used to make when they started up? That's what. That one.
Yeah.
I hate
Oh,
that.
I remember. And that was when someone was on the phone while you were on the computer. That's so funny.
Let's say bye to Canon because it's about to.
It's all right. We'll wrap before it cuts out probably.
It'll be like 4 minutes.
Least favorite word noise.
My least favorite noise. Well, I'm thinking about the alarm now. The alarm on my phone.
Pound the alarm.
That's
That's a terrible song.
It's awful. Like an alarm going off. Hate.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Okay. Mine is a toilet sanitizer. Well, I don't know if it's a toy, but you know that thingy that you have behind you that does a noise that you cleans turds or
the system.
Yeah, probably. I never had that anywhere except in my current flat. So there's the kind of thingy that processes stuff. And it does like weird rumbling and...
Oh, horrible.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah. So the last episode will be Brave, actually, of Scottish
Month. We're bringing it out, but this is the last canonical episode.
The last recording, yeah. So,
with the darling Emma Finley. Love that girl to bits.
Yeah.
So we were...
Adam.
Anouk.
And Yann. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.